Hey, hello, welcome to the show. Look, we're here. It's Thursday, and it's time for John Park's workshop, which is where we are, right here, right in the workshop. My gosh, that light is bright. I shifted some lights around the other day. Let me, woohoo, come here. Get this remote and see if we can control that. Come here. Wow, whoa, way, about 10% maybe. That's a very bright. Still? Good grief. Hold on. This has some little baffles on it. That should help. Much better. Oh, but then I positioned a light over here to point. Oh, it's Lights Day here on John Park's workshop. We'll see how much time we spend futzing with that. All right. Hey, let's do this show. What do we have going on today? I've got a show that is just chock full of stuff for you today. Let's see what's happening. I've got a coupon code for you, so you can save some money in the store. I've got a product pick of the week recap. I have a CircuitPython Parsec that's a by request, a pretty snazzy one that was by request from someone in the YouTube comments. I've got some continuing developments with the Doom keyboard, the keyboard that has Doom built right into it, so you just plug it into the computer and play Doom. I have that, and I have a PCB update retro tech, retro gaming thing demo. So that's all stuff that's coming up here today. And then, of course, I have interactions and questions and tips from and tips to of you, the viewers. So where are our viewers? Got an eye over on our YouTube chat. So hello, Beata Graf Abdelhagen and Dave Odessa. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And that right there is our Discord. So if you don't know about it, you can head over to adafru.it/Discord and look for the live broadcast chat channel. We have a whole bunch of channels with a lot of things going on, but this right here, you can see me clicking on it. That's where the chat is during the show, rather. And hello to Andy Calloway and Tyeth and Liz and Todd and Paul and is that everyone here right now? I think that's everyone here right now. What else? Let me quiet this thing for a second and set it over here. I'm getting alerts. What's going on? Hey, you know what? One thing that I would say, hey Starman, welcome. That text I got just was about some gaming advice, and I don't talk much about my gaming outside of retro stuff, but I have been playing through all of the Hitman games on PS5. I played through Hitman 3 originally, and then finally got the whole lot of them, and have been playing through them, and they're the best, and I'm loving them. But I've been playing so much of them that I'm ready for something new and different, and I'm thinking about Cyberpunk 2077, is that the name of it? And my question is that a good one to play on PS5 or on PC, which is better? My only gaming PC is a gaming laptop, that one in fact over there, that Dell gaming laptop that's decent but not super high spec'd. So will the PS5 be better for that? What should I do? That's the question. I'm also going to set the AC one notch cooler. And yeah, so that's my question to the viewers, to the gamers. Which way should I play that? All right, let's make one little adjustment here, and then let's do a coupon code. So I've got this right here. This is the coupon code for the day. If you want to go to the Adafruit store and buy some neat stuff, you can get 10% off if you use that coupon code right there, Quake. Quake will get you 10% off in the store. Just head over here to the Adafruit store. That's adafruit.com, and you're in the store, and you can check out things like view all new products. And do we still have any of these feathers? Oh, we're out of stock on the feathers. We're going to get more of those. There's a RP3050, 2350 that's new. So hit notify me on that one. But if any of this other juicy looking, neat new stuff appeals to you, you can get 10% off by using that coupon code right there, Quake. You got until midnight tonight, East Coast time, East Coast United States time. And just type that into the coupon code field. It takes care of the rest. You've also got an opportunity to get some free stuff. So if you head to adafruit.com/free, you'll see our enticements for spending more. If you spend $99 or more, you'll get a PCB coaster. If you spend $149 or more, you get the coaster and a KB 2040. If you spend $199 or more, you can get free ground shipping in the continental US, as well as the KB 2040 and the coaster. And then if you spend $299 or more, you can get a free Circuit Playground Express and the shipping and the KB 2040 and the coaster. No codes required for that. Just do it. These items will magically appear in your cart with a price of 0 next to them. If you go and add those, add enough stuff, you'll get those enticements. And don't forget your coupon code, Quake. Why Quake? Well, it seems vaguely Doom related, Doom keyboard related, but it's actually because we had a pretty juicy earthquake here this morning in Southern California. It shook things up for like 2 seconds. So that was on my mind when I was coming up with the coupon code for the day. So that's your coupon code. Okay, from the chat, Todd says he wishes Moar would combine the KB 2040 and the coaster into a KB 2040 coaster. Of course you do. Todd's all about the cap touch, I can just tell. NYC Kid says, stop letting Lars play with your lighting gear. Yeah, come on. I should stop him, but that's not possible. Hey, Quinman16, thank you also for joining over in the YouTube chat. And let's get on with the product pick of the week recap. So I've got a show on Tuesdays. It's called JP's Product Pick of the Week. I pick something from the store, give it to you at a huge discount. It was 50% off this week for this one, and do a little bit of a demo with it. And in fact, this one now features both in that demo and the project I'm working on. It is this very cool USB port hub, USB port hub, USB hub breakout. That's what it is. All right, check it out. It is the CH334F mini 2-port USB hub. So I'm going to plug that in to my computer. And not only is my mouse working now, but you can see a new flash drive has shown up. It's got this secret. So you can see here, I can click on, upsettingly, Lars' top secret folder. What does Lars have in there? Originally, black cable is the mouse cable. Soldered the mouse wire directly to the port side of the upstream connection. So that's what goes to the computer. And then I have essentially two peripherals plugged in on the downstream side. One is the mouse, and then this is a thumb drive that I gutted. You can see it turns on the mouse, turns on the hub, turns on the thumb drive. Today it's the CH334F Mini 2-port USB hub. Waka, wak, 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 wak. We had some interesting questions in the chat about stacking those, and I'd love if someone wants to do the math or the physical experiment of hub to 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 hub. How far can that go? What's the limits? At some point, there's not going to be a lot of current left, right? Depending on what you plug into them. All right, next up, it's time for this CircuitPython Parsec. CircuitPython Parsec. Oh, that's me. I do that. Where's my window? Okay. For the CircuitPython Parsec today, I wanted to talk about state toggles. So this came from a question in a YouTube comment about being able to toggle something like light on, light off, and have an LED show you the state that things are in. So I decided to use the macro pad to demo this because we get 12 of these nice buttons and they have 12 NeoPixels integrated into them. Let me demo it first. So what I can do is press a button and it will toggle to a different state and a different color. If I press it a second time, any of those buttons, they will toggle back to their original color. So you can think of this just as a simple on-off toggle. The state on these is now this second state, this purple state, and now I can bring them back to their first state, which is kind of neat if you want to do little pixel art types of things. But it's also useful if you're using it to control stuff out there and you want to know what's the status. Is it on and off? Is it two different colors? That sort of thing. So the way this is done is I'm importing some libraries so that I can deal with the keys on here and the NeoPixels, and then I'm setting up a couple of color variables, set up my NeoPixels, define the key pins for the keys and the keypad, and then here's the important part for this. I have a list called LEDs state, and I set it initially to be a list of 12 items long. All of them are set to true, so I'm just calling that my initial state when these are in this blue color. Then in the main loop, I check for key presses, and if a key gets pressed, I mark down, I create this variable called key, and I mark down which key it is, so it's key 0 in this case, and this is key 11 in this case. Then I go and check if it's a key that has been pressed. I ask that list up there, hey, is item 0 true or false? And in this case, it's going to go, well, it's true right now. It's in its initial state. So that means I'm going to switch it. I'm going to change the color from blue to purple, and then I'm also going to change that state in that list. So now the 0 item, the first item in the LEDs state list, is set to false. Now to keep track of these, you can see I'm printing out the state of everything. So if I set them all to off, you'll see down in the REPL there, it's all zeros. If I change that first one, that one's a 1 now, and so on. So as I go through and mark these, I'm keeping that whole list with all of the states of all of the buttons, and then I can look them up as needed. And the same is true in reverse, right? When they are set to the false state, that's when this else kicks in. It says check, oh, the key state is false. If it was false, I'm going to change it to blue, and then I'm going to flip that state so you can see the first number in my list there changed to a 1 or a true. And so that is how you can toggle state inside of CircuitPython, and that is your CircuitPython Parsec. CircuitPython Parsec. And thank you to the user in the commenter in YouTube for that. I will make a little note of that in that comment, and then this, of course, will go up as a YouTube video with a copy of the code over in my little Parsec code repo if you're interested in checking this out. By the way, just a little note here. I used some fancy string or text formatting here that Toddbot helped me with so that I could print all of these as zeros and ones on the screen there. In reality, this is, if I just do print the LED's state, here's the simple version of it, that will give you all the trues and falses. It's just too big to fit on this screen here, which is why I asked for help condensing that down to zeros and ones instead of trues and falses, and eliminating the commas and the spaces. So that's probably a separate parsec on its own. I've done some formatting stuff, but this is a nice one here because it lets you do things like set the separator. So if we wanted this to be all colons in here, we can do whatever's in this first little set of quotes will be how those are separated. But put anything in there and it kind of flies off the screen of the OLED, which is why I went with nothing on there. So that's it. That's the CircuitPython Parsec. All right, let's get on to next thing. Let's do this update to the Pico NES project. So I'm going to update the Learn guide for this, but I'll show you the current one. Let me go to Learn Pico NES. So the Pico NES project, bring this up here. So this is just in Adafruit Learn. I just typed in Pico NES for Nintendo Entertainment System. Pico NES, this is a Learn guide we have here. It says NES emulator for RP2040 DVI boards. So this is pretty cool. This comes originally from a project that emulates NES on different platforms. Someone took that and made it work on the RP2040 with the DVI output, which means you can plug that into an HDMI TV and you get video and sound coming off of it. And then another maker named Frank Hodemakers in Denmark did a project to add a SD card so that you didn't have to just flash the board, but you could put your games, your ROMs on an SD card. And I think there was one other thing, a menu system, so you can pick the games. Then our own Phil Burgess added NES controller support. So rather than having to use a USB game controller plugged in through an OTG cable, you could use a proper shift register read NES controller. I'll demo these in a second. And so what you can see here is a PCB I put together that allows you to just plonk on a Pico, a DVI connector, and an SD card breakout, and then a couple of game connectors. Now on this one, this is a little confusing. This is single player only. I just gave you the option to use a SNES connector or an NES connector, but you could only play single player games. So that was the project as it stood. When did we put this out? Where's our little date thing? Why can I never find that? May 14th was the last update. Published originally July 17th of 2023. So Frank contacted me recently and said, hey, I have added two-player support to the code, so would be great if you could update the PCB. So that's what I set about doing. Here is the fritzing where I created the PCB originally. Let me open up fritzing. So for some projects that are simple enough, you can actually get away with doing your PCB board layout in fritzing, which is kind of nice. It's very sort of user-friendly. It works kind of the way you're going to guess it works. Every time I use KiCad, I then don't use it for long enough that I forget so many things that it's frustrating. And I said, you know what, I can do this one in fritzing, which is how I did originally. Came back to it and updated it. So I've basically got a copy of the NES controller footprint, and now we run to two different pads to read those clock and data of that for that controller, which were the pads that Frank said he had put into the code. That was about it. I got rid of the extra redundant controller port, which was going to the exact same pins. And that's the board. So I sent those off to a PCB house. I think I did PCB Way. No, JLC. I think I did JLC PCB. And if we take a look at the down shooter, you can see them right here. This is the new board. I sent away for 10 of them. It costs like $20-something to get 10 boards, but I think I might make some of these as gifts for friends. So there's the board. Let me adjust some camera settings real quick. Goose the exposure a bit and fix that zoom. Oh wait, you know what? Let me get closer to it. There we go. Get that in focus. There you go. So that's the board. I also put a little silk screen on the back of a NES controller since it's NES focused. That's the URL right there for Frank's projects. github.com/fhodemakers, if I'm pronouncing that properly. Pico-InfoNES Plus. That's the name of the repo. There is a precompiled UF2 file that you can just drag onto your Pico that is for this configuration, and then there are other configurations that you can use this on. But for this project, this is the one we're using. So it's the 2-player. I haven't tried the RP2350 Pico 2 yet, but Frank said it works on that as well, and he has a separate UF2 file compiled for that. So let me, I'm going to swing a camera over to point at a big monitor I have on the wall over there, and I'll show you this in action. So I can get rid of this extra view here. So that's, let me uncrooked this camera for this perspective, and I'm going to zoom in. Yeah, so you can see there, I'm not sure about that focus. Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah, that looks good. So you can see over here, I have it hanging just so you can see it, but I'll bring this closer to the down shooter in a second. There's the Pico NES. There's 2 NES controllers plugged into it. I've got power just running off of a LiPo battery for the Pico, and then I have HDMI running to this monitor. So if I flip on the on switch on the Pico NES, it will pop up a splash screen here. And thanks to Frank for putting my name on the PCB design. That's exciting to be on a little Wares BBS looking splash screen. I'm excited about that. And now I can go and let's do a 2-player. How about Pac-Man? So I've just picked my ROM. It's running off of the SD there. And now I can hit the select button and say 2 players. And I'll hit start. Now we'll get Pac-Man on this controller. And I'll try to die quickly, and that will hand it over to player 2. Come get me. Why are you scared of me? It's so hard to play on this type of gamepad. There we go, so I've died. So now, control goes over to player 2, start on this second gamepad. And I'm pretty sure if I grab the first gamepad, that one doesn't do anything. That one doesn't work. Oh, except for the start button does. But this one is the one controlling player 2. So now it'll flip back there. So obviously it's more fun to do co-op games than fight games and things like that than this. But that's harder for me to do without inviting Lars to play. So what I'll do is unplug that. I can bring the controllers, sure. And show you in the down shooter. Let me zoop that camera back over there. Whoa, wrong way. That'll be good for later. Let me fix the roll on that a little bit. And let's come back here to the down shooter just so you can see this assembled one. So what's nice about this is it's just off-the-shelf parts. These you can get in pretty inexpensively, these NES controller connectors on AliExpress and probably elsewhere. You'll probably get them marked up a bit from Amazon or US sites. And then I've got my DVI breakout, my 3.3 volt SD card, my Pico, and an on-off switch, which is optional. You don't have to have that. And you can see all that is just through-hole soldered through, with the exception of the Pico, which is surface mount. And there's even, I'll show this in a second, there's even a really nice 3D printed case design that someone made for the original version, which this was my original prototype version over here. And I think that's the, yeah, that was the one that only used USB. Then I added the NES port once Phil added that code. So there's a second version of that 3D printed case in the works that accommodates both of the ports on here. And now if we take a look at the repo here, this is Pico-InfoNES from Frank Hodemakers, or F. Hodemakers. There's all the code. You can grab that if you want. There's some intro videos. And then there's a bunch of different hardware configurations. You can use the Pimoroni Pico DV demo base. You can use a breadboard and these two breakouts that I have here. You can use the printed circuit board that I've made. You can use a Feather RP2040 with DVI. And I think you can use a breadboard to add that controller port if you want. But all of these will work with a USB controller through an on-the-go connector on the Pico if you want. And this tells you about some different controllers that have been tested on the USB side, as well as the legacy controllers. And the, I'm trying to remember, the Wii Classic controller, I think, is through I2C, which means, and I don't think I've tried this, but I think if you have one of the reproduction NES controllers that Nintendo made to go with their little mini gaming system, this is also a WiiChuck connector that's I2C, so I think that one, the Classic and that one would work with that. And then you can see here there's a few different configurations, such as there's the Pimoroni board. We'll see. We'll see if that battery lasts longer. I'll have to run and get some fresh batteries. So hopefully we didn't miss too much. But I'm mostly scrolling this site here, so it's not a lot of, hopefully not a lot of salient stuff. This is the case. Oh, good. He's done it, or they have done it. Dynamite 1124 designed a NES-like case you can 3D print. And it can, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, so this is the one for the Wave Share. Here's the one for my PCB. Where'd it go? I'm not seeing it, weird. Let's go to Thingiverse for that user. I'm going to just type in Pico NES rather than scroll. Yeah, so this was the one that fits the PCB first version I did. And you can see there it has space for just the one connector. I guess you could use that with this one. I haven't moved much else, but I would wait for the second one. That would be only if you were going to connect one connector. Unfortunately, that's the player 2 connector, so it could get confusing. Yes, thank you, Andy and other people, Tyeth. It was my batteries died. It was not you. It was my batteries died. I have a couple of sets of semi-dead but not fully dead batteries that I may have to swap through before the end of the show. We'll see. So throw huge GIFs up if I am standing back there when my audio dies, or I'll run in and get some fresh ones. All right, yeah, so that's the project, and I will be updating this Learn Guide here. If you go to the last page on this, it says using Pico breakouts. I'll update this with the link to the latest board and the latest UF2 file, and you can play some two-player NES games, which is loads of fun. And I'm impressed. The latency seems really low. I haven't tested it with a meter or anything like that, but latency seems low enough to play and play well. Screen looks great. So however, I think they're sending 640, 480 signal, and these HDMI monitors seem to be showing it nicely. It's got some built-in scan lines in the display code, I think, because you'll see lines separating them, so it's drawing every other line, so it looks semi-authentic. So that's the update on the Pico NES. Okay, so finally, let's get to, let me move this out of the way. Let's get to our Doom keyboard project. So this was originally a mechanical keyboard. Here's the guts of it. You can see here. There's the base plate. And when I showed this project last time, I was using the cable that comes off the keyboard and then sending that, disconnecting it from the keyboard, sending it to our little mini 4-port hub, and then connecting the keyboard to that hub, so we've got the keyboard back, as well as its integrated trackpad. And then I was adding a USB thumb drive so that we could play Doom off of the thumb drive on Windows. Moar set the challenge of, hey, could you use a KEEB 2040 to be the game launcher, so a single button that can run some script that will launch the game, and can you run Doom off of the KEEB 2040 itself and get rid of the USB thumb drive and go down to a 2-port hub. So this is the efficient version of it. You can see it there. I'm going to go to the down shooter and show it off a little better, and then we can also fire it up. And let me just stick the little view there in the corner. And I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat for, if you see my battery die, basically you'll hear my audio cut out, let me know. And I'm just going to bring up the Discord on the phone here so I can see that. Okay. Oh, let me tell it not to shut off. Hold on. I should look into these shortcuts that Trevor was talking about, so I can do like 7 things at once on the phone without doing them individually. Let's see, where are you? Auto lock, never, good, okay. So, there we go, I can see that there. Okay, so I'm gonna move that out of the way. And let me zoom in a bit there. I think you can see that pretty well. I'm going to pivot that light around too, actually, because this other one is not pointing where I need it to. Okay, so here is, as I said, the original cable from the keyboard, and this was its tail, which is this little, it's actually a 5-pin connector. We really only need 4 pins of it. 1 pin is an extra shielding to ground, but I'm just living dangerously and not using that. So this plugs back into the keyboard, but now it's going through the hub. So there's our little, sorry, I'm going to get even closer. So there's our little 2-port hub, and it has now essentially been spliced in the middle of the original cable and the connection to the keyboard. So the keyboard itself has its little controller, and that just plugs in there like that. So that's nice because we get a nice removable plug. And then this other port, so this has 2 ports on it downstream. The other downstream port is going to a KEEB 2040. So nice thing about the KEEB 2040 is it has the differential data D plus D minus broken out. That's the green and the white wires there. And it has the 5-volt USB, which is labeled raw on the silk screen, and a ground. So we don't need a cable, right? We don't need to use a USB cable plugged into what? I don't know, an adapter. This is the one you want for keyboard projects. It mimics the Pro Micro, which is really popular for keyboard projects as far as the layout goes and the pinout. So that's a great one for this type of project because we can avoid all USB cables and just go direct to this solder to this second port on here. So that means that when I plug this in, it'll enumerate the hub and then the keyboard and the KEEB 2040. Now I've also added a little Neo key breakout. So this is a mechanical key switch with a keycap and a tiny PCB with a socket. You can actually remove, hot swap your key switch if you want. This is just going to a couple of data pins, A1 and A2, to run the NeoPixel that's built under there, uplit NeoPixel, and to read when that switch is pressed or not. So when this starts up, the KEEB 2040 will light up the NeoPixel, sort of a medium brightness red. When I press it, it goes a brighter red, and it sends a it reads, the KEEB 2040 reads the switch to say, oh, I've been pressed, what do I do? What it does is it tells the computer it's plugged into to open up a command prompt and run a string that Tyeth in our chat, thank you so much Tyeth, worked out for how to run Doom from a drive that you don't know the letter of, because that can vary. Now last week that was a thumb drive. This week it's actually the flash memory on the KEEB 2040 itself, which is really exciting. So there's about 6 megabytes available once CircuitPython is on there, and a couple other bits of information are taking up space. So I found a really small version of ZDoom and a small-ish WAD file that gives you, I think, maybe the first game. It's like a condensed version, kind of compressed version. But it launches that, and it plays just fine on a Windows machine right off of there. So let me show you a couple of things on this. First of all, I'll grab a USB battery pack just so I can power the keyboard. I think we'll see the lights light up on it. Then we'll plug in for real on the Windows machine and have it launch Doom. So yeah, it's always a question mark what's going to happen when you try to tell a USB thing to just get power and no data. So there, I've powered it up. You can see it lit a single LED on my hub. I think just telling me that we've enumerated only the KEEB 2040 because I don't have the keyboard plugged in. And then the KEEB 2040 has a light on it. It looks like it probably failed to do some USB HID stuff, so this didn't light, which is not super surprising. So let's unplug that from power. Let's plug in the keyboard. I'm just going to curious if we'll see 2 LEDs on the hub. I thought the hub had its own I'm on. Oh, I guess it's not enumerated, so it wasn't. Yeah, it probably won't. Yeah, that's just its own power. Okay, so let's plug this into the PC, which is sitting right here. I kind of didn't need a battery pack, did I? And I'll zoom out a little bit more here. fire this up. Please have battery. I think it was running all night. Oh, drat. Okay. Sit still, talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to run and get the power supply for this, which I think I left. Yeah, I left inside. All right, stand by. Okay. Not only did I get the power supply for the laptop, but I got a couple of fresh AA's, so that should help with my mic pack if it goes out. Okay, so this is laptop supply. Let's see how long it takes that to launch there. We're just on a little waiting screen here. All right, let's log in. Great, so I'm gonna just scoot this a little bit. Like so, and I'll refocus that. Okay, so what we'll see here now, I've got USB cable from laptop to hub to keyboard to KEEB 2040, both of those coming off the hub. You can see now there are 3 lights on here. So one is just the hub power light I see now. Second one is it enumerated the keyboard. Third one is it enumerated the KEEB 2040. KEEB 2040 has power, and it has successfully launched because I can see it's running its little NeoPixel on my NeoKey breakout. So now on the, I'm going to actually, whoa, what did I just do? Oh, I think I just yanked that cord in and out. Hold on. I need to stop battling the saran wrap that's on this cable. Give myself some space. There we go. That way you can see it a little better. Okay, so plugging this back into the laptop. So this keyboard, not the laptop one, but this one, you can see it's active now. If I hit something like the Windows key, it'll pop open Windows on there. I don't have the trackpad connected now, so I'm going to use the one on the laptop, and ultimately I'll have a mouse plugged into this as well. So here's the launch. Let's see if it works. So this will be, I'll show you in a second where I'm going to mount this, but this will be mounted through the key case. Press that. It has launched the run thing. It is doing the big, huge PowerShell command that Tyeth worked up. It is now finding Doom.exe running on the KEEB 2040's flash, loading it, running it. So I could say new game, knee deep in the dead, hurt me plenty, and here we are. Whoops, I just hit the Windows button. Wait, what is it, Alt-Tab? There we go. Oh, good. A little hard to play without mouse or trackpad connected right now. That is running right off of the KEEB 2040 right there. Amazing. Let's hit escape and quit that. I have no idea if I can play that music without getting a copy strike on the show here. Probably it'll get us yelled at. Sorry about that. Let me close this, whatever Dell thing just popped up. So I'm so excited about this. This is amazing. Doom running off of the flash drive on the KB2040. KB2040 being the thing that launches the whole process in the first place, and just using a button. I originally prototyped this just with the button that's built onto the KB2040, but now we're a little fancier because we have this nice little lit up key switch, and I'll put like a custom Doom icon on there because this is our little label pop-off clear topped keycap. You can see the light reflecting there. And here is the, if I put this, I'm going to actually put this keyboard a little more together. I'll just leave that part out there. But if I go like so and tuck in that wire, this will mostly go into place there. So you can see this is a nice big chunky keyboard with lots of room for modification. And this right here under the escape key is a pretty tempting spot to put this key for launching Doom. You can see on the PCB it's flush, so this will sit basically about maybe a millimeter higher than the other keys just because of the PCB here. I could probably cut the PCB because I don't think there's any traces running there. I'll check both sides before I do something like that, but I suspect that's potentially a fine place to chop it. But I may just attach that even just with some adhesive tape or something like that there. And then, oh, I've pressed it. It's going to launch Doom again. Whoops. And then you can see the case top here has a nice nice spot to cut out, so I can space that down a little bit and do some careful cutting there. I may try to do some sort of a themed bezel, like a 3D printed Doom skull, I don't know, just so that that hides the surgery there a little bit. Another possible place to put stuff is right here where this Cherry logo is, but the microcontroller that runs the board itself is sitting there, so it's not as much space. But this seems like a good ripe spot. And then, of course, another option would be to not do this, but instead use an existing button like pause break, cut its traces so that it's not any longer part of the keyboard, and run it directly to the KB2040. But I don't really want to do that. I'd like to leave this as stock as possible. There's always a chance that a keyboard matrix won't love you cutting someone out of the mix there. Not sure. So I think this is the sort of simpler and safer way to go. So there it is. It's Doom running off the KB2040 off of a keyboard. And just plug it in and go. Sneaky, sneaky. All right. Oh, good. Looks like I've still got battery remaining on there. And I can take a look at questions or chats. Static is so loud, says Quinman. Oh no, did something happen with my mic cable? Are you hearing a lot of static? Let me know if that's like a persistent issue. Hopefully I don't have a microphone cable issue going on right now. All right, good. I think that is it. Okay, that is the project. I'll be wrapping this up pretty soon and putting together a learn guide for it. I just have to take a saw to the case there, or however I'm going to deal with that, document that, do the graphics for the keycap, and then it'll be done. And I'll write that up so that you can have your own little embedded Doom for. Let's see, Ty said we had a brief moment before you came back where it sounded like a snowstorm. Oh, I know what happened. Huh. Yeah, I muted this mic, which should have made the receiver happy, but I think the receiver got mad. Yeah, I was out of range. Even though I was muted, it caused this receiver to go crazy. That's too bad. Sorry about that. The bonus question is, launching a Doom for Linux and or Mac, also a tiny one, like 4 megs or smaller, off the KEEB 2040. If you've got any tips, if you've got any versions of Doom to point me at, or I'll leave that as extra credit in the Learn Guide. But that's the bonus round there. But doing it off of Windows is kind of the easy mode version. There's tiny little compact versions of Doom for this kind of thing. So, okay. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the answer. A couple other people mentioned it was when I left. Yeah, my bad. The microphone went crazy. Okay, I think that is gonna do it. Yeah. Thanks everyone so much for stopping by and hanging out in the workshop. I'll mention again, if you want to get yourself 10% off in the store, you don't have to have an earthquake in your city, but you can just type in Quake in the coupon code on the way out of the store. Head on over to adafruit.com, go to the site, which looks like this right here. Go to Adafruit, that's the store. You can go check out new products in the banner, categories, and more. Go find some stuff and get yourself a discount using that coupon code right there. All right, thanks everyone. I believe Scott is doing a deep dive tomorrow. Double check the blog and our Discord chat to find out in the live broadcast chat channel. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been John Park's Workshop. I will see you later. Bye-bye.
Sorry.